From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Emily Joveski. Following a surprise Conservative victory in a Toronto by-election, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says his Liberal government has more work to do to deliver tangible progress to Canadians. He told reporters he hears people's concerns and frustrations after the Conservatives scored a stunning upset in a longtime Liberal stronghold.
I want to thank the people of Toronto St. Paul's for exercising your right to vote and making your voice heard. Now, this was obviously not the result we wanted.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is demanding Trudeau call a snap election following the by-election results. Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly says the security situation in Lebanon could worsen and says Canadians in the country should leave. She says the escalating violence between Hezbollah and Israel could limit people's ability to leave the country. Joly says Canadian consular services could also be affected. Senior United Nations officials are warning they'll suspend aid operations across Gaza unless Israel moves urgently to protect humanitarian workers from both Israeli strikes and lawlessness.
Among other things, the UN wants its workers to have direct communications with Israeli forces on the ground. Word of the UN ultimatum comes as a leading hunger authority reports the influx of aid into northern Gaza earlier this year eased the crisis. Refugees International Chief Jeremy Kanindijk says that's good news. The bad news is all of Gaza remains at high risk of famine.
So we're talking about the difference between a very, very bad humanitarian emergency and an even worse humanitarian catastrophe.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Former BC Premier and Canada's ambassador to Germany, John Horgan, is facing his third battle with cancer and has taken leave from his diplomatic duties overseas. New Democrat MLA Ravi Parmar says Horgan's receiving treatment in Berlin, Germany for thyroid cancer.
John's a fighter. He's fought in cancer before and beaten it twice. And I know in my heart he'll do it again.
He says he's been communicating with Horgan daily, and the former premier is in good spirits. Ontario's police watchdog says the former deputy chief of the Ottawa police force has been charged with sexually assaulting a woman when he was a police inspector in 2011. Uday Jaswal's lawyer says his client will fully and vigorously defend himself against what he calls a false accusation. And the federal government is working with 17 First Nations in British Columbia, as well as the provincial government, to expand protections for marine ecosystems off the coast of the Great Bear Rainforest, adding about 14,000 square kilometers. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, former Montreal Canadiens captain Shea Weber is among the Hockey Hall of Fame's class of 2024. The Hall of Fame announced its newest members today. Jeremy Roenick, Pavel Datsyuk, Natalie Darwitz, and Chrissy Wendell-Pohl were among the others named to the class. Tampa Bay Lightning head coach John Cooper will lead Canada at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Italy. Cooper is the longest tenured active coach in the NHL and led the Lightning to back-to-back Stanley Cups in 2020 and 2021. The Toronto Blue Jays are trying to pull out of their nosedive down the standings tonight as they continue a 3-game series with the Boston Red Sox. The Jays have lost 7 straight games. And the Canadian men's soccer team are taking on Peru today in Copa America action at Kansas City, Kansas. Canada's coming off a 2-0 loss to top-ranked Argentina. From the Canadian Press, I'm Emily Joveski.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.